Tiffany called me. I'm Eric Blade, by the way, for those of you who don't know me. Tiffany contacted me by text last week and asked me if I would officiate over what we call the ring ceremony, and I'm very pleased to do it. Tiffany and I and my family have a long association. I had the pleasure to have Tiffany stay with our family, living with us for several years. And she and my daughter Melissa look so much alike that they were often confused for each other. And in order to stop some of the complications, she asked for permission to be able to call me Dad sometimes and Mickey Mom, just so that there wouldn't be confusion. And I was very honored and pleased to be able to do that. So I'm very honored to be able to take just a minute and to share this new wedding with all of you. This morning we had the wedding ceremony of Daniel and Tiffany in the Latter-day Saint Los Angeles Temple. So I don't want to fool anyone and think that I'm pretending to be some type of ordained minister. I am not, although I'm in the bishopric in my ward. I'm a friend of the family. I've been asked to introduce the couple to you. Now, the reason we marry in the temple is because the marriage ceremony itself in the Latter-day Saint Church is more of a private ceremony with sacred covenants than is sometimes popularized. And although we don't want to keep people out, the temple is a very sacred place. We consider it to be the house of the Lord. And the marriage and sealing ordinance is considered to be the most sacred ordinance that you'll enter into in this life, because the ordinance that's done there is done for time and all eternity, which shows the great commitment that these two young people have to their marriage. And because of the sacredness of the ceremony, those who enter the house of the Lord have to prepare and have to interview and sometimes even take classes. But we're pleased to see the level of commitment that they have to their marriage. Marriage is an eternal commitment. It's been said by the prophets that it is the greatest gift that we can have in this life. And although many things we do in this life have eternal consequences, there are few things that we do with the thought that it will rise with us and continue even beyond the grave. Sometimes that's a novel concept in this day and age. I recently had a friend who went to a civil marriage ceremony, which was wonderful and was very nice, but he told me he was surprised that during the officiating of the ceremony, the person who married them said, "You shall stay married as long as your love stays warm." And he was a little bit surprised to hear that type of temporary commitment. We believe in eternal marriage. Eternal marriage indicates several things. First of all, it indicates a strong commitment. It means that we need to grow together as husband and wife. My wife said to me when I asked her, and she's the one who teaches me so much, when I asked her, "What do you think I should say?" she brought up that marriage has three things: to leave, to cleave, and to become one. In a eternal marriage, you need to leave behind the childish things that you have. You need to leave your parents and be ready to start a new life. And leave behind the things that were so important to you before, the selfish things that we have as teenagers. And then to cleave to each other. We need to deal with the problems that are going to come as two people, not as one. And that's a wonderful thing. And you may as well deal with them because problems are going to come whether you ignore them or deal with them one way or the other. It also means that God is a part of your marriage. Daniel, Tiffany, pray together. Have family home evening together. Work to raise up a worthy family and draw close to your Father in heaven. I promise you, as you do that, you'll draw closer to each other. And by doing that, you'll draw others closer to Him as well. Most of what I learned from marriage, I learned from my good wife. We were married when I came back from my mission. We were poor college students at the time. You can probably identify. My wife had gone through nursing school, though, and so she was able to help put me through my college and law school. As I entered law school, we started our family, and it grew larger and larger. We had 5 children. We didn't have a lot of money. I remember we did a lot of things to use our imagination to try and make sure our children didn't understand the pinches that we had sometimes. We drove all of our cars right into the ground, and we're glad when we had a time when we didn't have a car payment and we'd just wait till it would break down to buy a new one. We tried to use our imagination to try and make up for the things that we couldn't afford. A lot of drive-in movies, a lot of Mickey making the Halloween costumes for the children, baking our own cakes, and doing that type of thing. Mickey started mostly family traditions, which are remembered by our children, and Tiffany was able to participate in a number of them. We had family fudge making activities and Christmas tree lot buying and going to Disneyland when we could, and a lot of drive-in movies. And we ended up with selling candy bars for the children, taking them to Little League, going to choir concerts, band competitions, working in the snack bars at the school to try and raise money for the booster clubs. And while we were doing that, we were working in scouts and working in young women's and young men's organizations and primary and through various callings in the church. These are all things that you'll have to look forward to. And as our own children grew, and then one went on a mission, and then another, and then one got married, and then another, and another, and another, and another, until all 5 of them were married and then started to produce grandchildren of their own. Now we're back to ourselves. And it's a wonderful time. Mickey said to me the other day, you know, this is just before Melissa was married, my youngest, the one who looks so much like Tiffany. And just before she got married, Mickey said to me, you know, before, I used to think that when the children moved out, I would be lonely. Now I can't wait. That's eternal marriage. Work with each other. Grow. Be equal partners. And share together your love and your growth as a family. Keep the Father in heaven in your life and stay close to Him, and He will guide you. And I promise you, you'll find the happiness, because eternal marriage is an essential part of God's great plan of happiness. And I congratulate you on the efforts that you've made to follow and the good step that you're starting. And I wish you well. Now, I have something for you. These rings, which are not a direct part of the temple sealing ceremony, have symbolic meaning. The ring is round. The ring is a circle. The circle has no beginning and no end. Just as our lives, from an eternal perspective, have no beginning and no end. And although we often think of them in finite terms, when you enter into a temple marriage, the eternity is what you should be focusing on, and I know it's what you have. And so with these rings, and as you wear these rings, I encourage you to keep in mind the eternal covenant you've made. I have my own ring that I wear, and you can see on my ring is also a circle. And on that circle, I have that to remind me of the eternal covenant which my wife and I have made and share, and which have been so precious and loving to me. I would like to invite you, Daniel, to place these rings on your wife's finger. As you do this, do you have anything you want to say, Daniel? The perfect thing to say. I know you're all thinking, say it, right? Isn't that right? Tiffany, would you place this ring on Daniel's finger? Tiffany, do you have anything you'd like to say to Daniel?
I love you more.
Now I know what everyone is here for is to see the kiss of the husband and wife. Unfortunately, what we're going to have to do is, here, I'm going to have to stand in between you and... No, I'm kidding. Go on, please, kiss. Beso, beso, beso. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Daniel and Tiffany Pino.